Now before you remove your head bolts, which are these in between the HLAs, there's 10 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 per side, or per camshaft. What you want to do is clean those up because there's going to be oil inside of those hex heads. So take a paper towel, stuff it down in there the best you can. It's kind of like you're cleaning out your ears or something like that. Once you get the heads cleaned off, then you go and use your marker and you make a straight line so that it's marked in a single direction. So I would recommend marking all of them down, 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 down. And the same with your HLAs. You want to mark your HLAs as well, because you're supposed to put your head bolts and your HLAs back in the same exact place. So let's do that. If you haven't already set tap dead center, it's not really going to make a big difference if you're doing a head removal versus a timing belt replacement. The same procedure for the head removal can be followed for a head gasket replacement. It's the same thing. You're removing the head, so all of the procedures are the same. But it's a little bit different for the timing belt. Probably the divergent path would be getting at the crank pulley, and because you need that crank pulley really in order to set tap dead center. We will have to set tap dead center, but that's in the reassembly process. For the disassembly process, you really don't need to worry about that, because once the head is removed, you'll see the piston and you'll know exactly where tap dead center is regardless. So, but that's something you can worry about later. So I would recommend leaving the spark plugs in as long as possible, just so that you avoid contamination of the combustion chamber. You can do that after your fluids are drained and your camshafts are removed. So right now would be a good time, right before you're about to start on the head bolts, to remove those, because once you untension those head bolts, the head might have a tendency to come up a little bit, and if your spark plugs are still in the wells, then your spark plugs they could get stuck, and that would be bad. So remove your spark plugs first, then go at the head bolts. There will be some oil deposit on the end of these HLAs, just a little bit. But if you want to mark those, you will need to clean them up. And be careful not to clean too much oil out of here, because you need that to keep it lubricated. Otherwise your parts are going to start rusting, and you do not want rust in your internals. No siree. Let's hope this works. I have marked all of my HLAs on the bottom. They all face the same direction, and the same for the top. That way they're just easier to see from this side. And the same with the head bolts, although the head bolts are covered with oil, so it's harder to see. But as long as there's a tiny little bit of that left after I'm done, should be okay. Alright, I want you to see something confusing that I came across. Cylinder head bolts. Here's the pattern location, or the loosening sequence. It's the same as the camshaft sequence, which is a spiral going inward. Same spiral, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then there's a different sequence on the next page that continues with the cylinder head bolts. Oh, that's for loosening, and that's for tightening. Duh. Okay, so I was wrong. The head bolt sequence that I described in part 4 of the head removal series was incorrect. It is the same exact sequence as the camshafts. Now there's 10 bolts in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same exact process as the camshafts. And I picked up a 1/2 inch breaker bar with a 1/2 inch socket set. Big mamma jamma. And this is the guy that's going to help me get these head bolts off. I think I could probably do it with the 3/8 inch breaker. You can reuse the head bolts if they're within spec. Go onto the website, get the specs. There's a specific length because these head bolts will stretch. Lengthwise, they will stretch. So as long as they're not stretched past the maximum spec, you can reuse your head bolts. Now, if just one of them, and you do this on an individual basis, if one bolt is stretched too far out of spec, you'll need a caliper or a micrometer to measure that, then you would have to just replace the one bolt. I know that would suck, but you know, keep it within spec. Okay, so when I take the HLAs out, I'm going to put it into a tub here. And the nice thing about having these aligned in a tub in the correct order, take every single one out and put it in the correct order, is that you can then fill this tub up with oil to keep them, because you're not supposed to store these dry, you're supposed to store your HLAs wet. So then I will take some motor oil, just enough to coat it, and pour the motor oil in here. For the time being, I'm going to take the paper towels just to set them in here, but when I fill this with motor oil, I will take the paper towels out. In order to remove your HLAs, all you need is a little magnet. I have this telescopic magnet that I got from an auto parts store for, I think it was like $5 or $6, something like that. This thing is so awesome. I highly recommend everyone get one of these. I love this thing. If you drop a part, you can go all the way down. I can touch the ground with this through the engine bay. If you can see it, you can get it with one of these. In order to get out your HLAs, all you need is a magnet. Just pop it right on there. And look at that, it comes right out. Now, if only everything else in the engine bay was this easy. I will probably do another separate video on inspecting the HLAs and making sure that those work correctly, how to possibly repair them, and stuff like that. So that should be neat. And below the HLAs are your valve springs, valve spring retainers, and valve guides, and valves. It's all valve related because those are your valves. Those are the guys that go up and down so your engine can get air and expel it. Okay, moment of truth. That's about right. That's about what it felt like. I think you're only supposed to go about a quarter turn at a time. Could be wrong, could be right. Honestly don't know tonight. I don't know how that song goes. It's actually not too bad. I thought it was going to be a lot more torque than that. I thought it was going to be something crazy like, you know, 50 or 60 pounds, but it's only 15 pounds. I can do that with one hand, left-handed. Okay, after you do your series of 3 loosening sequences, I mean, you could probably do 2, but whatever, I'm doing 3. Then you can start winding off every single bolt. got myself a little box, and there's 10 head bolts, so poke 10 holes. And I'm just doing the last two to demonstrate to you how I did it. That's pretty easy stuff, but whatever, why not, right? Right. Get your telescopic magnet again. Ugh. That's a head bolt, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty big guy. I'm not even sure if the hole I made for this box is going to be... Yeah, that works. Okay, the nice thing about using a telescopic magnet, after you've loosened them all up, is if one is just a little bit stuck, then you can use the magnet to rotate it out, because these are coated with oil, so they are really slick, and the magnet will actually be able to pull it out the rest of the way. So, double use. Good stuff. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the moment of truth. I'm pretty sure I got it. After the head bolts, that's it. That's all that holds the head to the block. Right under this exhaust manifold gasket is a separation line. This is the start of the head right here. So if you follow this all the way around and there's nothing else connecting to it, then you should be good. Look at that. It's not stuck down at all. You can do that with you can raise it right up with your hands. Don't need a crowbar. It just comes just loose right there. So as soon as I take this off, all the oil sitting in here is probably going to come out. I'm pretty sure there's no coolant in here, so just make sure you got some rags handy. You can take all your manifold rags out now and just save these as catch rags in case there's any spills. Might also be a good time to put down something on the ground that you can, something soft and pliable like hardboard that you can lay your head on. Alright, let's try this. Let's give her a go. It seems like it wants to come off. Now when I lifted it up, it did crack a little bit, but I'm guessing that was just where it separated from the head gasket down there. It was stuck on. That's what that felt like, so we'll just... I need to get in like a squatting position to heave this up. I'm not sure how much this weighs. It doesn't look like it weighs much, if anything. Maybe 20 pounds, 30 pounds. I don't know what the specs are, but it looks like it doesn't weigh much. Now watch me not be able to pick it up. There you go. Hey, look at that. Top dead center. Looks like I got it. I know the lighting is not that great. My apologies. This is cylinder 1, top dead center. Some bronzing there. It's not too bad looking. I'm pretty sure that's a 15-year-old piston. I've never, to my knowledge, had the head gasket replaced. So this is also an original head gasket, and the head gasket looks really good. Cylinder 2. A little bit of crud in there. Not too bad. I'm gonna have to take a look at the cylinder because I can't really see that good in there, but it looks like there's a lot of scoring. I'm not happy with how that looks. And if I were you, I wouldn't be happy with how those cylinder walls look. That does not look good. Cylinder 3. This is the one, this is the bad cylinder with the bad intake valve supposedly. I still have to flip it over, but that does look like a pretty bad cylinder. It might be the worst cylinder gunk of all the cylinders. That is a coolant jacket, obviously, but everything looks good except I don't think that looks good. Should look like that. And that's on the exhaust side. I don't know if that makes sense, if the intake valve is messed up, if for the exhaust coolant jacket to be gunked up like that, but it's the same for cylinder 4. But the head gasket is in great shape. I mean, that is a beautiful looking head gasket. Actually, that's a block issue. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I'm going to pick it out the best I can. But if that becomes a bigger problem, I'm going to drop the pan anyway to replace the pan gasket. So I'll take a look from underneath. Yeah. Here's how the timing belt looks. It's not too bad. I really don't see a problem there. I think that looks pretty good. Other than the striations from the top, which I imagine are from the tensioner doing that, because the tensioner looks kind of worn. It's got a lot of banding, which I imagine is about right, par for the course. So next up, we're going to get a look at the underside of the head. Now the oil's going to run out of here too. I don't know where these grommets are falling out of. Here's the other side of the head. This is cylinder number 3. This is intake, exhaust, exhaust. As you can see, the intake, this particular one, is white compared to all the others. And the exhaust is also much more caked on burnt than all the others. So cylinder 3 indicates a problem, obvious sealing problem. I have to get these valves machined. I'm taking it to the machine shop tomorrow. Hopefully we can get this done. If you want to remove the head, either for a head gasket, intake valve, doesn't matter. Now you have step-by-step instructions on how to do that. And I hope you've enjoyed the adventure, because it was a learning experience for me. This is the first time I've done it. It's the first time I've done anything even remotely like this. So if it looks like I know what I'm doing, I completely don't. This was the first time. DIY, just a regular average guy doing it himself. Reassembly is going to be a completely different process. You have to do torque specs, you have to make sure everything is in spec, camshafts, all the bolts, make sure all your grommets, replace seals, replace gaskets, completely different animal. I would like to personally thank Eric the Car Guy for correctly diagnosing this issue. Eric the Car Guy, I wish you every possible positive thing in the world. Future success. I hope you become an instructor. I think you deserve it. I think you deserve it to yourself. You are just an amazing person. And I'm not going to forget the Mazda 626 forums, Mazda626.net, MX6.com. Everybody on all of those forums, not just specific to Mazdas or Eric the Car Guy, but everyone on an automotive forum that helps other people. You're doing an amazing job. You're saving people money, you're doing the right thing, you're trying to do it for the right reasons, which is to help people. I would like to make a special thank you to my neighbor Patrick. He let me borrow his socket set. So, thank you Patrick, a lot. I'd like to thank everyone over at the Eric the Car Guy forums for being just amazing people. A lot of encouragement to get this done. Been waiting for this for so long. Wait until I could feel good enough to do this. Long time. Long time. But we're not done. This is only 50% of the job. The other 50% is reassembly. So After the head removal series, there will be a head reassembly series. So thank you for coming along on this adventure with me, and hope to pick it up with the reassembly. Have a good one. Stay dirty. Eric usually says that, but I'm a fan, so I can say it too.